my life. So what's up guys, it's Hero here by Nino or Quadri. Welcome back to another video of Call of Duty Vanguard Multiplayer. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the settings that you should be using in Call of Duty Vanguard Multiplayer. These settings will optimize your playstyle and your gameplay performance so that you can perform 100% better in Call of Duty Vanguard Multiplayer. So if you feel like you haven't been playing your best, or you feel like there's just no way to improve, you've hit like a skill ceiling for some reason, and you feel like it's out of your control, make sure you guys use the settings that I'm going to present to you here in today's video, because they could help you in your gameplay performance here in Call of Duty Vanguard Multiplayer. So if you guys are excited to see the settings that only 1% of people are using right here in Call of Duty Vanguard Multiplayer, you guys want to be a part of that, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe new, and turn on those post notifications. We're getting really close to that 1,000 subscriber mark here on the More KRNG Cheerio channel, and I appreciate all the support on the multiplayer videos. I have gotten so many V2 rockets, so you guys can really trust these settings. I have like around 150 V2 rockets. I have a V2 rocket with pretty much every gun in the game besides the rocket launchers and the melee weapon. Trust me, these settings do work out for me, and I hope they work out for you. So without further ado, let's talk about these settings real quick. So first of all, I do play on controller. Obviously, it's preference if you play on controller or keyboard and mouse. I play on PS5, so these will be controller settings for the most part, but there'll be settings in this video that you could also apply to like PC or keyboard and mouse or whatever the case is. So yeah, horizontal stick and vertical stick sensitivity, I like to keep it at 8. And obviously this is quote unquote personal preference, but I love 8 because it's a sweet spot between a low sensitivity and a high sensitivity. And higher sensitivities are nice because you can, turn on people, which is really great. But a low sensitivity is also good because you can kind of aim better towards your opponent. So having it in the happy medium allows you so that you can turn adequately and also not lose track of your opponent when you're aiming down sights, which is very important. Next up, we got ADS Sensitivity Multiplier, and you can have this at default by 0.9, but what I recommend you doing is turning on custom sensitivity per zoom and customizing it like this. I have low zoom through 3x zoom at 0.9, and the reason why I have it lower than 1 is because you want your aim to be a little bit more stickier on your opponents when you're ADSing or aiming down sights. And especially with the lower zoom optics, you're going to be in more close quarter situations, and that's where you kind of want to have, a little bit more control over your enemies. When I have 4x or higher, that's usually when I'm using like a sniper or something. And when I'm sniping, I kind of want to have like a higher like sensitivity so I can like zoom around and like drag scope a little bit easier. So that's why I have a 1.1, or you can like boost it to 1.2. It's all really up to you, personal preference at the end of the day, but having a lower custom sensitivity on the lower zooms is going to help you a lot with just stickier aim. My button layout preset, which you guys can see at the bottom, is Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped, and I love Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped over all of these because basically I can jump using L2, which allows me to jump shot super easily, aim with L1, which means that I can aim down sights with the trigger button, and then fire weapon with R1, which means R1 is a lot more responsive, which means that I'm gonna be able to, have the game register me shooting my gun a lot faster than somebody if they were using R2s. Use R1, it's a lot more preferable, and then I can also drop shot with R3, which is just super easy to do. So with this button layout, I can jump shot and drop shot at the flip of a dime, which is just beautiful. So definitely use Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped. Obviously, this might be personal preference to you, but I'd recommend switching to Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped or Stick and Move Flipped if you want to have like a similar experience. It just kind of depends on what you want to use. Everything else is kind of like default until Aim Response Curve Type. Aim Response Curve Type, just keep it at Dynamic. A lot of pro players use it because Dynamic is the cleanest one and kind of gives you the most stickiest aim out of all the Aim Response Curve types, so use Dynamic. Everything else here, you want to keep vibration off so you can have more, focus on your target. Trigger effect should 100% be off because it's just going to hinder you. Weapon fire threshold, keep that off as well. So keep all these off, it'll help you a lot. ADS sensitivity transition timing, make it instant so you can adequately respond to the sensitivity transition. Multiplier, steady aim right here. Stick layout, I just have it at default, leave all this at default. Dead zones, you can actually put them at 10. Like the L2 and R2 dead zones, if you tend to use the L2s and R2s. I mostly just use L1s and R1s, so this doesn't really matter to me. But if you want it more instantaneous or a little bit slower, put 0 or 10. Left stick and right stick minimum input dead zones, I just keep it at 10, so I avoid stick drift in any single way. And yeah, that's it here. And in the gameplay section, by going over to R2, you want to have your target aim assist on and just keep it on default. Obviously, you could use precision focusing or black ops, but default is the best one for stickier aiming. ADS aim assist, put it on. All of this keep default. You can keep all this default. Airborne automatic mantle, I keep it on, though some people keep it partial or off. It's kind of up to you. Automatic sprint should 100% be off, and auto move forward should be off, because if you're automatically sprinting, you know, is this gonna hurt you when you run into a camper and they're able to get the jump on you? Is this better not to have automatic sprint on and just be rushing all over the place? Unless you plan to play like Shimmer 24/7 or something, but that's up to you. Everything else should be default. Slide behavior should be a tap, because if you're gonna be sliding at the tap of a button, that means you're gonna be, you know, your game's gonna be more responsive, and you'll be able to kind of like slide faster. If you have to hold it, then the game won't be as responsive, which is gonna be kind of sucky. So make sure you have that on. And then the last important one is interact/reload behavior. Make sure you prioritize reload, because this allows you to pretty much reload at the press of square and open doors at the press of square as well. But if you're in the middle of holding a door or, you know, having to reload, you're going to be prioritizing your reload. So you press square to kind of reload your gun faster, or you can hold square to open the door. So prioritizing that reload is always super important. So yeah, that's what we got here. Next up, we got the graphics. Field of view should be, I have field of view at 120, which is max, because I'm able to see the most of my screen with this field of view. So by seeing the most of my screen with 120 field of view, that means I'll be able to spot people easier, which is always great. ADS field of view, I like to keep it independent, because when I aim down sights, having it independent means that the FOV is going to go down to 80, but by having the field of view go down to 80 when I'm aiming down sights means that people that are a little bit more farther away at the people that I'm aiming at are going to be more visible and easier to hit. So this is good for longer range kills. So that's why I have it on. You could keep it as affected, but just know that those longer range kills might be a little bit harder to hit. That's why I recommend independent. Camera movement should be 50%. Don't have it 100%, or else your screen's gonna be shaking like crazy. World motion blur, weapon motion blur, depth of field, all should be off. They really mess up the game, because you won't be able to see your opponents. I mean, just look at the world motion blur here on the right side. Like, how are you supposed to, like, you know, keep track of opponents in any single way? It's just not good for you. Do not put motion blur on in any scenario, unless you plan to play like campaign or something. This just will not help you. Fidelity FX CAX, you should freaking put this on, because it will make the game look a lot more cleaner. But for some reason, the game always resets it and puts it off for some weird reason. But you should have it on at all times, if possible, that is. Next up, we got audio. Audio, the way I like to run audio is just have master volume maxed out, music volume super low, because you don't really need to listen to the music, even though the music be banging. Dialogue volume, I like to keep at 35, so that I at least can hear some dialogue in case there's some teammates making some callouts or something. And then sound effects volume should be all the way up, because that's where you're going to hear your footsteps. So make sure you guys max this out if you guys want to hear footsteps easier and track down your opponents, which is super important. All of this should be pretty much defaulted. Yeah, none of this really matters. Interface, sometimes I like to have subtitles on just so I can kind of see what's going on. You know, when people are calling out or whatever, you can see it on the bottom of the screen, and sometimes you'll register something a lot more easier if you could see it rather than hear it, you know, because callouts are like, you know, instantaneous when you read it, which is very important. Obviously, this is more of a personal preference kind of thing, but it's just kind of up to you at the end of the day. And all this doesn't really matter. I just like to have all my packet loss, my FOV counter kind of showing. Doesn't really matter. It's up to you at the end of the day. Minimap shape, make sure you keep it at square, because the square kind of gives you more area on your minimap than a circle does. So don't have a round minimap, have a square minimap. That's very important. And then I think that should be pretty much it. These are the settings that really help me drop V2 rockets in Call of Duty Vanguard multiplayer. And obviously, you know, having a good class setup will help you as well. And I have class setups on this channel if you want to check them out, like later on, or even some of my previous videos. But hopefully these settings help you. Like I said, 99% of people are playing wrong, and these are the settings that 1% of people are using that are playing right. Obviously, some of these are personal preference, so you can kind of change them up to what you want to play with. But I'm telling you, try to stick to the guidelines that I've kind of outlaid here with these controller settings. I hope you really enjoy. For anybody just getting the game for Christmas, you know, hope you enjoy the game. Hopefully these settings help you. And just make sure to have fun. That's what really matters at the end of the day. But if you want to perform well, definitely use these settings. Anyways, I really freaking love you guys. Thank you for being a beautiful audience. Make sure you guys check me out on all of my social medias if you have the time to. And just thank you for being a very beautiful audience. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. I love you all.